Hey everyone, long time since I talked to you. One quick reason why is because I've been editing this, the second edition of Netter's Digestive System. So it's 3 volumes. It's coming out in around about May 2016, so keep your eyes peeled. But that's my excuse, and now on to the reason most of you are here, which is to talk about the lumbosacral plexus. Now, unless I missed my guess, most of you have dealt with the lumbosacral plexus and at one point or another come up across a table, something like this. Lots of nerves, lots of levels of innervation, and no one way to make it all real sensible. Sadly, I don't have anything to offer that's quite as good as the quick draw brachial plexus videos that you'll find scattered all over YouTube. But what I think we can do here is come up with a quick draw method of going through the lumbosacral plexus that's at least a little bit comprehensible. So let's get started on that. Alright, so let's talk about the tiny bit of thoracic and lumbar contribution to the lumbosacral plexus. We'll start off from T12 down to L5, and each one of these levels has something to offer to the lumbosacral plexus. Now T12 gives off the so-called subcostal nerve, because it's not between ribs, it's the last one, so it's the subcostal nerve. L1 is only moderately more complicated, and it splits into 2 separate nerves, the ilio-hypogastric and the ilio-inguinal nerves. Now both of these plus the subcostal, their main job is to innervate the skin and musculature of the abdominal body wall. So in the area below the belly button, these are innervating the abdominal oblique muscles, transversus abdominis muscle, and the rectus abdominis muscle, along with the skin nearby. Now things get interesting when we travel to L2, 3, and 4. We're going to jump a little bit ahead here, and we're going to draw in purple branches from L2, L3, and L4 that converge to form a specific nerve, and that nerve is the femoral nerve, which innervates the anterior compartment of the thigh. And L2, L3, L4 also contribute to another nerve that innervates the medial compartment of the thigh. This is the obturator nerve. So obturator innervates the adductors of the hip. Femoral nerve innervates the extensors of the knee, as well as moderate flexors of the hip. In purple, we have the posterior division, and in green, we have the anterior division. Anterior because it's going towards the medial part of the thigh, which during embryonic development is facing forward, and femoral nerve going to the anterior thigh, which paradoxically is facing posteriorly during development. Think about somebody clutching a big beast ball with their arms and their legs, and you can see why the quadricep muscles would be positioned posteriorly early on during development. So L2, 3, and 4 make both the major nerves, femoral and obturator. Now let's go back and fill in a couple of the little stragglers. L1 and L2 have branches that combine to form the genito-femoral, and we're just going to jump one level down to L2 and L3, which combine to form the lateral cutaneous nerve of the thigh. And its name tells you exactly what it's doing. It innervates the area that would normally be covered by your front pockets. So that, in a nutshell, is the lumbar contribution of the lumbosacral plexus, although we're going to note right here, L4 and L5 have substantial contributions that drop a little bit lower into the sacral area, and this is referred to as the lumbosacral trunk. And that's going to be a major contributor to the nerves that we're going to see in the next drawing. Alright, we're moving on down a little now, so let's color in L4. L5, that's a 5. S1, S2, S3, S4. So symbolizing the lumbar and sacral contributions to the sacral plexus. And you may remember from a second ago that we had an anterior and posterior division of L2, 3, and 4, one going to the femoral nerve, one going to the obturator. We're going to do the same thing here, but instead of drawing all this stuff kind of mashed up on top of itself, we're going to draw the posterior division on one side, and we're going to draw the anterior or ventral division on another. So, the sciatic nerve comes from the L4 to S3 levels. And the sciatic nerve, as you may or may not know, is actually a composite nerve made of the tibial nerve and the common fibular or common peroneal nerve. The sciatic nerve contains all those levels, but let's split those two nerves out now because they are actually the posterior and anterior divisions innervating the compartments of the thigh and leg. So here, from L4 down to S2, we have branches that jump down and combine to form the common fibular, which some of you may know as the common peroneal nerve. And on the other side, we go one level down. We have L4, 5, S1, 2, and 3. So we've added one, all jumping together to form the tibial nerve. All right, so far so good. We've got posterior division, 4, 5, S1, S2, common fibular, and L4 down to S3, making the tibial. Here's where it gets fun. We've got to add in the superior gluteal, the inferior gluteal, the nerve to the piriformis, the nerve to the quadratus femoris, the nerve to the obturator internus, and the pudendal nerve, and last but not least, the posterior cutaneous nerve of the thigh, and keep track of where they're all going. Here's the easy way to do it. We break things into 2s and 3s. On the posterior side, what's more posterior than the gluteals? Not much. So we take the first 3, L4, L5, S1. We take the next 3, L5, S1, and S2. These make the superior gluteal nerve, the inferior gluteal nerve, and lastly, we take the only ones we have left, S1 and S2, and we get 2 contributions to the nerve to the piriformis. Now, if you think about where these muscles are and where these nerves are, the superior gluteal supplies the gluteus medius and minimus, inferior gluteal supplies gluteus maximus, and piriformis is just deep to both of those. They're all very posterior muscles coming off the posterior cord. 3, 3, 2. Let's jump to the other side. We do the same thing. We draw 3 contributions. 1, 2, 3 from L4, L5, and S1 respectively. And we do the same thing down here. We jumped one down in level, L5, S1, S2. And that gives us the nerve to the quadratus femoris, which, by the way, also innervates the inferior gemellus muscle. Then we have the nerve to the obturator internus, which, surprise, surprise, also innervates the superior gemellus muscle. Now, on this side we had 2 contributions, but here we've actually got this S3, so we wind up getting another contribution of 3, and that is going to form the very important, try to do this in blacking, pudendal nerve. Pudendal nerve innervates the muscles and skin of the perineum, so the anal sphincter, the muscles and skin of the external genitalia, and fun fact for you, pudendal is actually a term that dates from our somewhat more puritanical past. Pudendal means shameful, so the shameful nerve innervates all of our genitalia and our anal region, so go with that. So hopefully this little rainbow, this lumbosacral rainbow, has helped you keep track of which nerves go where. We've got one last nerve to keep track of, and it's a little bit of a weirdo. We're going to take the bottom 2 contributions from each level. So S1, S2 on the posterior side, and we're going to combine those with S2 and S3 on the anterior side to form another nerve entirely. And this is the largest cutaneous nerve of the body, the posterior femoral cutaneous nerve. And it runs down the posterior midline of the thigh, almost to the knee and supplies the skin over that area. So, I know that's not quite as simple as it could be, but as simple as I can make it. I hope this is helpful to you in keeping track of the lumbosacral plexus, and have a great day.